This week, we're recapping Xbox's Tokyo Gameshow showcase and a new direction for the team behind Halo. This is the Good Game Bad Game podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. With me is a man who's a big fan of those gritty TIGs. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
What did you just say?
Said you're a big fan of those gritty TIGs. It was a whole thing for the Tigers leading into the playoffs when they were playing those very important, when it's the wild card race and it's, if we win and this team loses and you're playing all those magic number games and stuff. Jason Benetti, the broadcaster for the Tigers, started this. I believe he was the one who started this movement for those gritty TIGs. You'll love a good team with gritness.
Apparently, I wasn't included in that movement, but let's break it down. The first thing that went through my mind was like a How I Met Your Mother situation. So I was trying to break down the words and switch some letters and figure out what the fuck you were saying.
Yeah, you thought I was saying something about titties, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the thing. I was like, wow, that's a weird way to start things off, but okay, what am I missing?
Yeah.
And then my brain kind of went in the right direction, but it went more so in something about the LSU Tigers. It's gritty and Tigers and Justin Jefferson and such. Doing the most insufferable dance of all time.
And yeah,
I don't think I like that. I don't think I'm going to use that.
Yeah, I
don't think I'm on board.
I said it to Shelby too many times, and I also don't think she's a fan of it. So
it's just like it's one phonetic slip away.
It's really tough to say. It's really hard to say. I had to practice it in the mirror for about 30 minutes this morning before we even started to make sure I was going to say it right.
Yeah, it's just going to become a vocal warm up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something. Big fan of gritness though, We're witnessing gritness in front of us. So
well, now that I hear it out loud. Didn't the Detroit Lions already try the whole grit thing?
Oh, I mean,
biting kneecaps and such.
TJ McConnell, the 76ers point guard for years during the process years.
Known white guy. Yep.
Known white guy. Grit was used to describe him very often. Grit's been around for a long time to kind of like really shoulder these underdog types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning the history of grit. It's the I don't know. It's the creating phrases out of the word grit that I just don't
gotcha.
Get, said Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, you weren't a big fan of the Gritroit Lions.
No. Like, I didn't mind that they had like shirts that said grit. Like, okay, that's a very like Detroit thing.
Yeah. Jared Goff's our quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. But then when like
we are pretty gritty.
But then like also how are the Flyers not like suing the hell out of everybody? Like we made them a mascot. So
gritty. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey, wait a second. Anyway,
there should just be a gritty for every sports team.
Every sports
Everybody
team
should get to use gritty.
Just has a fucking sleep paralysis demon as their mascot.
So you really appeal to the younger millennials and the Gen Zers.
Or I guess it's like it should be a secondary mascot, right? Like every team, like you said, every team has a gritty, which is again like the sleep paralysis demon version of whatever the team's mascot is. So it's like, the Royals. I'm just thinking because I can envision their stupid like lion, and then like the gritty version of it is like a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic that just runs up and scares the absolute piss out of you. Oh
And
man,
then the Mets is just Grimace.
it's just Grimace, exactly. It's just their mascot is no longer Mr. Met. Their mascot is now Grimace, and then their gritty version of Grimace is just Grimace again. It's just two fucking stupid purple Grimaces just walking around. This is good. We've fixed baseball.
Yeah.
This is what we
fun again.
This is what we come to do.
Anyway, that's the show, everybody. See you next week.
What have you been playing?
Well, you won't be shocked to hear that I had a college football relapse.
Oh no.
But it's not the only thing I played.
Oh, okay.
So, played a little bit of that. Played some more Outlaws, which I'm still enjoying for the most part. And Justine and I have been on a multiplayer kick for the first time in a couple of weeks. So we played that Boomerang Foo game, which I think I told you about.
Oh
just
yeah.
like a really small. They did like an update, which you had to pay for, but turns out you can use those gold coin things on the Nintendo Switch to actually pay for shit and not just like random avatars that you can't even use on the Switch.
Uh-huh.
So we basically got it for free.
Very nice.
And they added like a prop hunt mode, which is fun. So we played a bunch of that. And then Justine has been back on a Donkey Kong Country kick. So we've been playing on the Super Nintendo emulator on the Switch, Donkey Kong Country. And I agreed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, in my brain, it was, okay, yeah, one of us is Donkey Kong, one of us is Diddy Kong.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
No.
So yeah. So long story short, Justine is on like World 3. And
you're just impeding her progress.
I'm on level 3. So it's not that I'm impeding her progress. But she would probably be done with the game by now.
Yeah. Shelby and I, we gave up on Donkey Kong Country 2. I think I talked about that last week. Can't remember if I did or not, but I'm assuming you're playing like specifically just Donkey Kong Country, right? The first one right now.
Yeah. Yep.
It's an all right game. Not unbearable. Definitely tough.
I am doing better now. So we've played it twice. And before I was using that like fake GameCube controller that they came out with a couple of years ago, not Nintendo, but I forget the company.
Yeah.
And that was not conducive to playing that game because like Y is run, and B is jump. So I was like having to claw the controller to make it work. But we have like one of the wireless Super Nintendo controllers for the Switch, so I started using that, and I've been enjoying it a lot more.
I do like that they did that. They basically made, or you can get like a bunch of the different controllers that are more like natural for that game.
I really want to get a couple of the Nintendo 64 ones.
Yeah. Just the worst controller ever made. And you cannot convince me otherwise. Well, you're wrong.
I kind of think that the Switch Pro controller is the worst controller ever made, but certainly quality-wise, I've already had to fix like 5 of them.
Yeah, but at least it's like an intuitive controller, whereas the Nintendo 64 controller is a fucking hot mess.
It makes tons of sense. It's
Get
not like you
out
have
of
to
here.
use.
Get out of here.
Have you ever played Nintendo 64? Do you have a
Yes.
Nintendo 64?
Okay, well, first off, that offends me. I'm
Do
not
you?
offended.
Answer the
I'm
question.
not offended by you asking me whether or not I've played it. I'm offended by you asking me whether or not I have one. Of course, I have one.
And in what game has the controls annoyed you? Like, it's
It's not
basically
the
the same
controls.
as.
It's not, sir. It is the dumbass controller and how it fits in your hands.
I think it is
It's
comfortable.
what's with the little dick that hangs off of it down the middle?
For games where you need to play with a dick, you use that part. For games you don't need to play a dick, you don't use it.
Just ignore it.
It's basically the same concept as the DualShock controller. Like when the PlayStation 1 came out, there was no analog stick. And then Sony was so inspired by the Nintendo 64 controller that they put analog sticks on it. And it's not like you had to use it for any of the games, it was just an option.
I stand by it. It is the dumbest controller. It's stupid to look at. It's terrible to hold, and it's not even fun to play with, let alone eat.
Okay, well, this is one of two hills I'm willing to die on, so.
All right. We're both just on opposite hills, staring at each other, waiting for the other to die at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, yeah, hold on. Give me a second. I'm sending you the hill that you're on, that I'm looking at you on.
Great. I can't wait. Oh my god. You're going to hell.
Oh, I'll see you there.
Oh man. You're going to be waiting for me? Greeting me at the door?
Yeah.
That's not fair. I want to die first.
Well, let's not make it a competition.
All right. Did you get up to anything else?
No. That's right. That's what we're talking about video games today.
Whew. This is one of our better intros.
Yeah. For us.
Yeah.
Everyone else can be like, can you get on with it, please? Yeah. Just make sure the song is playing through all this.
I'm just gonna have to loop it for 12 minutes.
Yeah, that works.
All right. Oh man. Whew. It's good stuff. All right, so you guys have been playing Donkey Kong Country. Is the plan to go on to? I'm assuming all of them are on the SNES virtual.
I have no idea, and I also have no plan. I'm just enduring.
Yeah, no, that's all you can do with that game.
It's growing on me.
Yeah, you say that. Wait till you get to the second one, buddy. Wait.
I'm waiting.
No, I was just gonna say, wait till you get to the second one. It fucking sucks. You have to buy your saves. Which, granted, when you play on the Switch, the nice thing is that you get the save states.
Yeah. If not,
yeah,
I would not be playing this game.
As a playing on the original console elitist, I can tell you that Donkey Kong Country 2 is one of the worst games I've ever played. Not because it's actually a bad game or anything. It's simply because it is so goddamn hard, and you literally have to buy your fucking saves with coins. Who puts that into? And the way that it fucking works is that A and B and I think every other fucking button X, Y, I think all just confirm that you want to do whatever thing you're on when you're in the menu to buy your fucking save. So your first save is always free. They always give you a taste. They always give you a taste at each school or wherever the fuck you're saving the game. And then so you hit A and you're like, yeah, I want to save. And then it goes, okay, you saved. Good job. And then you go B, I want to get out of here. And it goes, okay, you just used 3 coins and you've saved again. I don't know why you did that, but sure. And then you're like, what the hell? I didn't want to do that. What gets me out of the menu? X, Y? Thank you for spending 6 more coins to save your goddamn game. And then you go, how do I get out of this fucking menu? And you have to scroll all the way to the bottom and hit exit.
Yeah, that doesn't sound enjoyable.
And it's just hard. I mean, Donkey Kong Country is hard too. But yeah, that's just how platformers from that era were built. They were built different.
Yeah.
But also then you get some of the most enjoyment out of games like that. When a game is properly challenging you, and you're all the more satisfied once you're actually able to do it, or you hit your head against a wall so many times that you just give up, which is what we did with Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah, we just keep our drywall patch close.
Shelby and I started playing Super Metroid.
Hell yeah.
That game is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That is we're both thoroughly enjoying that and having a lot of fun with it. We were kind of like talking about it afterwards, and I was saying it's like, bear with me in the comparison, but any game where you're kind of like just moving from one boss to the next, basically, in a lot of ways, I kind of attribute that to the style of like a Soulsborne game, right? And while these types of games will normally be given this like ultra hard rating, where it's like it's just so difficult, the scale and everything like that, I was kind of thinking about it, and it's like, but the difficulty does have this like limit, because the entire game is just practice. You're just continuously practicing against the boss and respawning at the nearest save point, and then doing your second practice until you finally beat the boss. So there's always this like upper tier of like, but you're constantly getting better, or you should be, with games like that. So as of right now, I would say we're probably halfway through. I don't really know. I was trying to kind of like guess off of like a guide with like chapters and stuff to kind of try and like see where we might be at. We haven't been using a guide, and I think that's what's so fun about Super Metroid, is that first time we realized you just kind of need to drop like the little bombs and stuff and like try and blow up different areas to like actually move forward. Realizing that, like, would hate to ruin that,
Yeah. You get to a point where like every corridor you run down, you just have like the gun up at a 45-degree angle, and you're just shooting as you run through the whole corridor.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say we're about halfway, and like we haven't had a ton of trouble with like any of the bosses. Certainly we haven't been, first trying on probably any of them, but I will say it's not like so unbearably difficult, and like literally after like the second or third try, you're like, oh, okay, we've got this. Like we see it, and then sure enough, you pull it off. Very good game.
I can't wait for you guys to play Fusion.
What's Fusion on?
That's on Game Boy Advance.
Okay. So
it is on the collection thing.
So I mean, we'll probably play it on the Game Boy Advance, because we have the Game Boy Advance attachment for the GameCube.
There you go. Do you have a copy of Fusion?
I can't remember if I have Fusion or Zero Mission. Zero Mission's the other Game Boy Advance one, right?
Yeah, and that's like a remake of the first, like the original Nintendo Metroid.
Yeah. I would have to look. I can't remember. I know I have one of them for the Game Boy Advance. Maybe I have both. I don't know. But anyway. So yeah, we'll get around to playing that eventually. We're almost through. We're almost through all of our Super Nintendo games. I say almost, but no, yeah, I think that's right. I think we have like Breath of Fire and Donkey Kong Country 3. And that might just be it after Super Metroid.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun going back and playing these old games. That's really it. Didn't really get up to too much else. All right. Let's talk Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah.
No, we're 2 weeks late now at this point, or a week and a half, or whatever. But Xbox had a showcase during the Tokyo Game Show. They talked about a good bit. They had a lot of stuff during their showcase. Real quick, curious to hear what your overall thoughts were of the show.
I'm sure it was great for the right person.
You seem to feel that way often about
Yeah.
about showcases.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sure
it's
somebody liked it.
yeah, just not me. Um, no, I understand the significance of the show. Like, again, Xbox trying to make a push into the Asian, namely Japanese market.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have games that you just don't associate with Xbox coming out, like when they honestly, like when I saw the We Love Katamari
Mm-hmm.
part of the show, I was like, one, I forgot that game was still, even around. Because I feel like that game was really big in like the GameCube era
Mm-hmm.
and the PlayStation 2. So it's like cool to see that come to another platform. And I think we knew about Metaphor ReFantasio
Mm-hmm.
before, but again, just like seeing that that's coming, like it's all significant stuff, and I'm not discounting that. I just don't personally care.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I think yeah, I really appreciate them. They really understood the mission, right? You're doing a showcase during Tokyo Game Show. So think about like what audience you're truly trying to reach during that type of event, right?
Mm.
And it really felt like they couldn't have been more intentional with their choices, nor have done a better job, in my opinion, with the choices that were made. Um,
I will say that there's one game that I'm really excited for that I will probably be downloading shortly.
can I guess?
In Yeah, I'm sure you'll get it.
Is it Tanuki Pond Summer?
It is not,
Hmm.
but that I did see that too.
What game? What game?
All You Need Is Help. It's like it's a local and an online multiplayer
Mm-hmm.
game, and it's cross-platform. So that sounds like a game that Justine and I will probably play.
Um. Yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. My one my one holdup is it is it a 4 player or is it up to 4 player?
Ah,
That was the only thing that was kind of tripping me up. Like, do you need to have 4 players, or is it like Death Squared has like a mode where it's party mode and it's 4 robots, but like 2 people can control 2 of the robots. I think actually you could play it solo too if you wanted, but
so on Xbox's website, it says like Xbox local co-op, and it says 4-4. So that makes me assume that
you
you
need
need
four
to,
people.
yeah.
Hmm,
Which I mean, like, I don't really know how fast paced this game is, but we could just set up 2 controllers.
that's true. Either way, that game does look like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really fits your and Justine's uh co-op mania.
And we
Yeah.
have friends that like would play this game too.
Yeah,
So,
I have friends too.
yeah.
It's not a competition or anything.
But do you have friends without kids?
Almost exclusively, thankfully.
Yeah, see, we almost exclusively have friends with kids, so we basically have no friends at all.
uh,
We have friends in the sense that we have things that we would like doing with people, but then we can't because they have kids.
mhm. And then your friends who don't have kids live in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Yeah, exactly.
which does not allow for easy hangouts and meetups.
They should just do a direct train from Syracuse to
They
Charlotte. Like
should. That's what I've been
we
saying.
we can't be the only people in that situation.
We actually are.
Well, they should do it anyway.
I've surveyed people all throughout Charlotte, and they're like,
Oh yeah.
we hate Syracuse. Wouldn't be caught dead there. I'm like, guys, come on, it'd be fun. Come on.
Not that cold.
um, that game does look like a lot of fun. The all all you need is help
Yeah. And two friends.
and two friends.
Or three if you're not married.
If you're not, yeah, if you haven't entered a lifelong friendship already. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just for me, there are a lot of games that I am excited for
Yeah,
that
get
were
my
shown
thoughts on.
during this. Well, I think the only ones that are, let's see, the only ones that are solely Xbox, Indiana Jones, but that's going to be coming to. I don't think there was anything that was an Xbox exclusive that would really require that. So for that, I'm out.
Okay.
No, I mean we've seen Dragon Quest now a trillion times. But like I'm still really just excited about that. Also, just like great job by Xbox again to lean into their partnership with Square. Because like a majority of what they showed were Square Enix franchises.
Are they going to buy them?
Maybe,
Begs
probably
the
not.
question.
That Slitterhead game
Yeah.
looks really interesting.
They've shown a preview for that before, but it was like over a year ago, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely been a minute since we've seen about it, but I remembered being pretty interested when we first saw stuff for it, and yeah, them diving into it, and the person like talking about it and saying like during tests and stuff like that, like you find yourself trying to play it in a normal conventional way, but the game requires you to be so unconventional in the way you play. I just love when people are able to try and like flip games on their head a little bit to try and change things up and really go a unique route. And this definitely seems like it's doing that. And the dark like tone of it is very interesting.
This art, I pulled it up, and the art is a lot different than I thought it was going to be.
How
This
so?
looks kind of cool. Like it's a little more cartoony. Like I expected it to be more like Silent Hill.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I like kind of like toes that line. Like
Yeah.
it definitely gives Silent Hill vibes for sure.
Oh yeah, of course. But it's also a little more like Gravity Rush too, which I
Yeah.
guess that's the same person. I don't know. Maybe this will be interesting. We'll see.
Um. And yeah, I thought that Tanuki Pawns Summer, where you look to be like a delivery Tanuki. Um,
I hope I'm just delivering mortgages to people.
yeah, and then any packages, you're just doing your best to damage them along the way.
Yeah.
Um, also, the probably the game that I'm like, so I'm obviously very excited for, Metaphor, the game that's not Persona, but basically Persona. Um, One, people have been having like early hands on uh they released like a whole demo for it too, but I think like review copies are out too, and people are like gushing over the game. So I'm just like, it's probably, unless I'm forgetting something, it's probably the game I'm most excited for. Um, which I know we don't have much time left in the year, but like this feels like it has all the makings to be like my personal game of the year, basically.
Well, that'll
Um,
be out today, like as of release, right? No, tomorrow,
to
October
tomorrow,
11th.
yeah, tomorrow as of this episode coming out, not as of you and I
Yeah,
recording. You threw me off a
yeah.
little bit. You were like tomorrow, and I was like, wait, what day is it? Um, yeah, I need to get 13 more platinums, and then I can buy this game. Uh, what a terrible, what a terrible challenge and year for me. Anyway, I'm super excited for that game, but I've known about this game for some time. The game that I think I'm actually like most excited for that I hadn't seen anything, so or I maybe just didn't remember. Threads of Time. It looks like a. It gives off the vibes of Chrono Trigger, which Shelby and I just played earlier this year, in the fact that like it looks like you're kind of going back in time and stuff like that, and like needing to manipulate in that regard. So it seems like the story is going to be, maybe somewhat similar to that or just use that in its own way. But also,
Hmm.
Sea of Stars, which came out last year, um, which definitely took like a lot of inspiration from those types of games. But this game has that like same stylistic feel of like a modern JRPG that falls into this like 2.5D realm. That I think this is probably the game that I'm most excited for. That I like again really had no idea was even a thing and all that. But yeah, I mean the entire show just like again basically like here's what you need to do and they kind of nailed it. Um, the one thing that I found interesting was at the beginning when Phil Spencer was talking and kind of like going through kind of like some quick hits of like these games are coming and these updates are coming and all this stuff and like one I really enjoyed that. I really liked that they didn't like waste a ton of time on some of those like individual pieces, but I did find it interesting that for the uh Starfield expansion, Starfield, right? That's the Bethesda space game.
Yeah.
Okay. Felt like I was going crazy. For the Starfield DLC and for Indiana Jones, he like really was like specific to like lean into the fact that they did like full localization for um Japanese players. And I don't know if I'm just an idiot, but I kind of just always assumed that was a thing. Am I
I feel like
dumb?
for big games,
Right. So like
yeah, I don't know.
wouldn't like right, but would so I guess that's my thing. Like he like leaned into it for Indiana Jones. And it's like, but my expectation would have been that the game would have been fully localized for Japan and have Japan voiceover and subtitles and all of that stuff. And it seemed like he was very intentional about bringing that up as if to say like we don't do this. And I was
Right.
like yeah, so I was like is that not just a given with every game? Am I just like spoiled being a dumb fat American or what?
Well, and maybe because, you primarily play PlayStation and Nintendo, which they are
Right.
Japan first companies, so like I don't know.
And that was kind
I'm
of the other
sure,
thing was like, yeah, or is it just that?
right. I feel like it's probably more that. It's just that Microsoft is primarily an American company. Yeah, they're multinational, but they're primarily an
Sure.
American company. Certainly Xbox is more focused on the American, was at least focused on the American demographics, so yeah, maybe they just haven't done it.
I just
And
found that
maybe
very
that's why
interesting.
they have such a small market share there.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I mean, I don't want to assume that like making a game localized for um a country and for like a whole different language and stuff like that. I don't want to just assume that's easy, but like I'm kind of shocked that like that care hasn't been put into their games if that is the case. But I don't know. And I also don't know how hard it is to do that, but I just found that very interesting, and it made me realize that like, wow, this is something that I very clearly take for granted, in a lot of ways.
Mm.
That was more than anything what I took away from it. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I thought there were definitely some games, but then like you said, there's definitely a person who every single game that was shown was like hype, you know,
Yeah.
um, which is great. And I think it's definitely trying. Like you can definitely see that they again were very intentional. I think it's good that they're really trying to improve with the Japanese player base. And they're adding pets to Fallout 76. I mean, come on,
Yeah. That was big news.
huge.
That
Um,
game's got some legs now.
that game has, yeah, 4 legs to be exact.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was certainly not our worst, but not great, not great. Other big news from Xbox. It was announced, I think, like 2 days ago, maybe, that 343 was officially rebranding, and they are now, henceforth, moving forward, uh, Halo Studios, and they also announced that the next Halo experience um, will be in Unreal Engine 5, and they kind of showed off a little tease of what Master Chief and how the game might look in Unreal Engine 5. And I think you said it kind of at the top where it's like, or before we started recording, where it's like, well, it's kind of all they've been working on, so it's not necessarily surprising, but certainly interesting to see the like full lean at this point into it. And I don't know if you've seen the visuals yet, but obviously we've seen Unreal Engine 5 in action in
Mhm.
the past, and I mean, it just looks fantastic.
And I don't know. I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not, but I think, Halo 4, when it came out on Xbox 360, like when that game came out, I think I said it was the best looking game I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And then, Halo Infinite looked really good at launch. So, them putting it in Unreal just kind of, in my opinion, follows their, intention on quality graphics. But I think this is interesting because, again, it's not really anything significant, like them changing to Halo Studios, but I think it's a perception thing because, Halo Infinite, for whatever reason, I quite enjoyed playing what I played of it, and the online certainly I thought was really good. Um, I don't know. I feel like you're just getting a lot of like OG and like hardcore Halo fans that are like, "Oh, it wasn't what it used to be."
mm-hmm.
And so I think this is really just a perception thing for them to be like, we have one studio that's sole focus is Halo, so you know that you're going to get a quality Halo game,
Yeah,
even though nothing's changing, I don't think, from an organizational standpoint. Oh, it's interesting. Be interested to see how it plays out.
yeah. I'm also interested. I'm interested to like how close are we to the next Halo game, right? Because Halo Infinite came out 2021.
Yes. Sounds right. Yeah, because
Um,
it wasn't a launch game, which everyone was pissed about. Of
right.
course.
But yeah, I'm interested cuz like you said, like and I'm kind of curious like what the like actual causes for why people like fell off of Infinite so fast or like I'm wondering are there just does Halo's development cycle is it too long that people obviously like move on to these other games and then at that point it's like you're so stuck in your ways. But if Halo were to just make a copy of Apex or Fortnite or whatever, you'd just be pissed about that too.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so are they just kind of in like a lose lose position? So it'll be really interesting, and I'm curious to see like how soon we get this next Halo game and like how they maybe try to revitalize the online that was so popular in past Halos, but just hasn't been able to hit here of late.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting dance because like now with Microsoft having Activision, they have to now balance like, okay, we're gonna put out a Call of Duty probably every year, every 2 years, and we're gonna put out a Halo every four, and we want people to play the online. So how do we not cannibalize Halo's online with Call of Duty's online and vice versa?
Yep. Yeah, and I think like you need to have just like uniquely different gameplay and just because that's what always set the two apart in the past. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Halo had like the kind of like distorted gravity, so like the jumping was much more, whereas like Call of Duty was I don't know, it's just Call of Duty. Um, I certainly always felt like they were very different. Um, but now Call of Duty has worn so many different skins that like it's a complete chameleon of every single other game that has come out to try and dethrone
Yeah.
it. That it's just stolen all of those parts, like wall running, and you know. So it's like I don't even know how you try to make something that is like completely its own without somehow pulling something that already is being done in the other. But that's kind of the main thing I would say that they would have to try and do. But again, I feel like people have gotten so used to the way some of these other games play that like they're going to be upset if those things aren't present in the next Halo. So it's again, I just feel like they're just kind of in this like really really tough situation that I don't know how they make people happy.
Guess we'll find out.
And it's one of those things where it's like, well, you just listen to the fans, but it's like fans are idiots.
Right. Yeah, fans are the reason that the last Halo didn't do well.
Yeah, just diehard fans of anything are just impossible to please. You know, in literally any facet.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who's a Marvel fan, they have it stuck in their head the exact thing that they want you to do. That if you don't do it, it is the worst thing ever. Does not matter. And even if you do the thing that they think they want you to do, there's a chance that they're going to be hypercritical about something along the way, right?
Yeah.
Sports teams, same thing, right? Like no matter what, the the team that you're a fan of, you are going to be way more critical and hyper analyze and everything, even though there could be other teams that are doing it worse and so on and so forth, right? So diehard fans kind of ruin things because they're the people that you're oftentimes trying so hard to please, yet they are an impossible class to please.
I think we like I don't know. There's this generational issue of nostalgia too, and like people just want the same feeling of playing a new Halo as they did like the first time they played the original Halo, and it's like it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
You're not
but
going to get that.
also like if you know what Halo would have that been? Halo 2, Halo 3, right? Like that people are like take me back.
I
Nobody.
think the first 3 games and ODST
Okay.
probably.
Because like nobody actually wants to go back to Call of Duty. They want to go back to like Call of Duty 4 or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, right? Like
Yeah.
those are the games that people actually want to go back to. But yeah,
What did I say? Call of Duty or Halo?
you said Halo.
Oh, okay.
And I was just trying to hone in like is it actually like the first Halo that people would want? But no matter what, so like say it is and you give them an identical experience, people are going to be like this shit's ass. This sucks.
Mhm.
Because in the modern gaming landscape, it probably is ass. Like it probably isn't fun. Like you have to definitely adapt, right? And like you have to make changes and stuff. So again, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I want this experience. I want it to be exactly like that. And then you give it to people and then they're going to be like, this isn't how I remember it. This sucks. And it's like, yeah, because you're not 13 anymore and this isn't the best we can do.
Right.
Anyway.
Anyway.
I could I could rant about these types of things like all day because
Yeah.
it's just tiring, you know, like we want you to change, but not don't change too much and just give us what we originally had, but make sure it's polished and better than what we originally had. But when you polish things, it's no longer what we originally had, so it sucks and it's no longer good and it's just a snake eating its own tail, just over and over
Sure.
and over and over and over. Um I'm excited though. I'm really really curious to see what they end up doing for the next Halo. I mean, Infinite was the first one that like tried to establish like a an open world, right?
Yeah.
Um, I can't remember. Did people hate that
I don't really remember hearing much feedback on that.
the like campaign? Um, because I feel like that's another thing that sets Halo aside from these other shooters is that it normally has a pretty like meaningful and substantial campaign.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean people like it's not really like Call of Duty where like some people just buy it for the multiplayer and some people, play both. Like I think people who are Halo fans are fans of the story and also the multiplayer.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they try to iterate on the franchise and keep moving it forward.
Yep.
And hopefully, you know, they add emotes and stuff so you can do the backpack kid dance in Halo
Yep.
instead of doing it as Master Chief in Fortnite.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they should just like rebuild Fortnite but make it Halo. Hit the same demographic.
Yeah.
That'll go well.
Yeah. Certainly everybody will be a fan of that.
Everybody liked that.
Everybody likes that. Everybody will remember that. All right. Anything else on now Halo Studios?
No, good job, Halo Studios, and good job. I don't know. Whatever.
I think it's really funny um when you have something like this where like a company is like, I mean, it is kind of all we do. So here's where we are now.
Yeah.
It'd be really
The
funny.
Pokemon company.
Yeah, it'd be really funny if Naughty Dog rebranded and became The Last of Us Remastered Studios. Boom, fucking got them, folks. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening. If you could do us a favor and leave us a rating or a review wherever you do listen to the podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything pertinent coming up. So I'm sure we'll be talking about some nonsense. Maybe handhelds will be back again next week. But if you could do us a favor and share this podcast with a friend, that would also greatly help us. And other than that, we will talk to you next week.